Welcome to the Trainmen and Conductor New Hire Training Program. Over the next several weeks, you will learn what it takes to become a railroader at CSX Transportation. And because safety is so important, much of your training will focus on operating rules and safe work practices.
Your training session is divided into several segments. First, you spend a half day in orientation at one of CSXT's locomotive engineer and conductor training facilities in either Atlanta, Georgia, or Cumberland, Maryland. During this orientation, you will be given general information about CSXT, what we require of you as an employee, and what you can expect from us. Once you complete orientation today, you will have a general understanding of the railroad lifestyle and CSX transportation. From here, you begin formalized trainman classroom training. During this part of your training, you spend 2 weeks learning what a trainman does through instruction in both a classroom environment and at a hands-on training facility nearby. At the car shop classroom, your instructors will orient you on the basics of safety, track components, and standard operating procedures. There you will also learn how CSXT communicates through hand signals, computer printouts, and radio transmissions. During this phase of training, you also will learn how to perform inspections, how to throw switches, and how to change air hoses.
While in Trainman classroom training, you will be tested daily so we can find out which areas you are mastering and where you need further assistance. Each Friday, you will take a cumulative exam which covers everything learned to date.
On your last day of Trainman classroom training, you face a final exam. A score of 85% is required to pass this phase of training and graduate to the next phase. Because safety is such a crucial part of your job, you must also pass a 50-question operating rules test with a score of at least 90%.
If you are unable to achieve the 85% score necessary to pass these exams, but you score at least a 70%, you will be placed on probation and retested. However, if you score under 70%, you will fail the training program and your employment with CSXT will terminate at this time.
However, we expect all of you to pass the written examinations and move on to the Trainman Apprenticeship. During your Trainman Apprenticeship, your training moves outside the classroom to your home terminal. During the next 4 weeks, you will receive hands-on experience as a trainman as you learn about the physical plant characteristics of your assigned territory. At the conclusion of the 6-week combination of classroom and on-the-job training, you will be qualified as a trainman and ready to begin either conductor or locomotive engineer training. If your career path is to become a conductor, your training moves inside the classroom. During this phase of instruction, you will learn about restricted equipment, proper train building techniques, how to inspect a train, and advanced information about train movement.
You'll be tested daily on what you have learned with a comprehensive test each Friday covering all materials presented to date. Scores will be evaluated to identify trainees requiring assistance.
In order to stay in the conductor training program, you must pass your final exam with a score of at least 85%, a 100-question operating rules exam by a score of at least 90%, and you must attain a perfect score, 100%, on your signals test. Once you pass your final exams inside the classroom, you are ready again for the outdoors. Training moves to your home terminal for the conductor apprenticeship. This final phase of training includes approximately 8 weeks of conductor-specific instruction designed to provide you with the information about yard and road jobs, through freights, local and road switchers, and hostler positions.
Sound complicated? Well, it may right now, but remember, this course was designed for you by experienced conductors who once stood in your shoes. They know the challenges you face in your training and have designed this program specifically for your needs. Believe us when we say, by the end of this 16-week training period, you will sound and act like a true railroader.
And you'll have people all around you who are there to help. During your conductor apprenticeship, conductor trainers from your home terminal will be there to guide you on the various tasks a conductor must perform. During each skill you are expected to master, training will be divided into 3 steps. First, you spend a day observing your conductor trainer and completing a job profile. A job profile is your own notes about your customers, such as the layout of the track, the direction of switches, or any other pertinent information that will help you serve your customers. After your first day in observation, you spend the next day working the job with the conductor trainer, and then you spend day 3 actually running the job with guidance from your trainer as required.
Testing for this phase of training will be based on observations by your local sponsor. Results of this informal testing will be placed in your training file.
Then, prior to starting work on the railroad, you will be tested to determine your knowledge of the proper operating procedures within your local territory. If you are selected to take part in the locomotive engineer training instead of conductor training, your instruction will vary slightly. After you complete Trainmen classroom training and your Trainmen apprenticeship, you spend 5 weeks inside the classroom in Cumberland, Maryland, learning what a locomotive engineer does. During the first week, you will learn the mechanical components of a locomotive. The second week, you learn how to perform brake tests. Week 3 teaches proper train handling techniques. During week 4, you learn the operating rules of the railroad. And in week 5, you face your final exams for your locomotive engineer classroom training. To complete this phase of training, you must pass a signals test by a perfect score of 100%, a mechanical test by a score of 80%, and an operating rules test by a score of 85%. Once you complete engineer classroom training, you are ready for the outdoors during 21 weeks of locomotive engineer on-the-job training. During this hands-on instruction, you will learn the physical characteristics of your assigned territories, and you will apply your knowledge of signals, train handling techniques, and operating rules to the important job of running a train. At the end of this 5-month training period, you will be tested again so we can learn your knowledge of your future job as a locomotive engineer. You will be tested again on your operating rules, and this time you must pass the test with a score of at least 90%. You must also pass a locomotive operations and train handling exam by a score of 85%, and you must score an 85% on your qualifying trip with your sponsor, the road foreman of engines in your territory.
Once you have passed each of these phases in your track of instruction, you will graduate to either locomotive engineer or conductor status, and you will join the proud CSXT family of railroaders who can say we work for the best railroad in North America. As a conductor trainer, you play a key role in ensuring these trainees complete this program successfully. You are the on-the-job coach who will lead these new railroaders to success, and you have been chosen because of your leadership skills, your professionalism, and your safe work record.
In your role as a conductor trainer, you have several responsibilities. You are in the field with the trainees, so it is your job to ensure trainees perform the required tasks each day that will help them learn the skills and rules needed to work on the railroad. It is also your job to meet with the local sponsor to review the progress of assigned trainees. We want you to keep the lines of communication open, just in case any problems develop with a trainee's ability to learn a given task. Also, since you are the person who will see firsthand if a trainee successfully completes a given task, you will be expected to fill out apprentice evaluation forms during both the trainman and the conductor field training segments. At the end of each apprenticeship, you must evaluate your trainee's performance on this form, which will be given to you by the local officer sponsoring your trainee. For each of several tasks, you must decide if the trainee deserves an above average, a satisfactory, or a poor rating. Keep your comments honest, since this is the feedback that will decide if a trainee qualifies to be a conductor. Your frank remarks also will allow us to determine if trainees need to repeat some areas of training before being promoted. Once this form is complete, submit the evaluation to the local field sponsor assigned to the trainee in your location. And speaking of paperwork, you may remember from your day's training on the railroad how challenging it was to fill out paperwork correctly the first time you tried. So make sure you assist trainees when they complete their profile forms for local industries.
We've outlined your responsibilities as a conductor trainer, but you may be wondering, how do I know if I'm even doing a good job? Well, we've put together some guidelines for you so you can be the best conductor trainer you can be.
One way to be a good conductor trainer is to have an extensive working knowledge of the operating rules that govern the railroad. Trainees will have just been tested on 150 different operating rules when they come to you for guidance in the field. It is your mission to make sure trainees understand how this important information applies to their jobs. Going hand in hand with the operating rules is the kind of example you set in safety. As you know, safety is number one at CSX Transportation, and as a conductor trainer, you have the weighty responsibility of being the first impression the trainees receive in the field. This is no time for shortcuts that will endanger the lives of you or your trainee. Go by the book and be a safety example. There are 3 other characteristics that will make you an effective trainer. Always be a good communicator. Keep in mind the trainee is new to the railroad, and try to explain what you are doing in the most basic of terms. But don't forget to define railroad jargon the conductor trainee will face in doing his or her job. And good communication skills doesn't mean you do all the talking. Give your trainees the opportunity to ask questions and be there to give them constructive feedback when the trainee attempts to perform a task that you have set forth. Finally, and this one is very important, maintain the desire necessary to train and help fellow employees. You have been chosen because you set a good example and because it is your nature to do things above and beyond the call of duty. You are a born trainer and you will do a great job. Good luck in your new role as a conductor trainer.
Hello, I'm Earl Curry, Vice President and Chief Transportation Officer. I want to welcome you into your new role as a conductor trainer and to thank you for taking on this important training responsibility. You have been selected to show our new trainees the ropes because of your professionalism, your leadership qualities, and your safe work record. It should give you great pride that you are personally responsible for helping CSXT build its future through the training you will offer these new employees. Remember, this is no time for shortcuts. I urge you to perform your work habits safely and to set a good example for our trainees. Besides making sure you and your trainee perform your work safely, you must also concentrate fully on serving our customers. You need to stress the importance of running to schedule and performing accurate switching. That will let our new employees know how important we view our service reliability commitments. In closing, I want to urge you to share your experience as a railroader with these new trainees. I am depending on you to prepare them for the challenges they will face as a conductor. I want to wish you the best of luck as one of the chosen few who can be called conductor trainers. Thank you again for your participation in this program.
If you're a field sponsor involved in sponsoring one or more conductor trainees, your work begins before the trainees arrive in Atlanta.
Approximately 1 week before training begins, you should hold a brief pre-orientation session for your assigned trainees at your home terminal. The purpose of this session will be to welcome the new hires and introduce them to local supervisors and union officials in your area. During this session, you should provide employees with information concerning the purchase of the proper safety shoes and distribution of safety glasses. If your trainee is visually impaired, offer information on where prescription safety glasses can be purchased as well. You should also review the required clothing needed during each phase of training. During pre-orientation, it's a good idea to remind trainees what they must provide during training. Trainees must furnish approved work boots, a rain suit, a watch, a grip, and a clipboard or notebook. Once pre-orientation is complete, you are ready to make your own checklist. Besides making sure new hires take part in this pre-orientation the week before the training begins, You also must make sure all necessary training materials are organized and ready to be used when the on-the-job portion of training starts. Field locations are responsible for providing the following materials to trainees during the apprenticeship segments. Each trainee must be assigned a lantern and any necessary supplies that go with it, a radio and chest pack, and an air pressure gauge. All other materials will be provided by the school and include the following: an operating rules book, the safe weight book and calendar, non-prescription safety glasses, a temple stick, a trainee's first pair of work gloves, hearing protection, the emergency response guide, red block materials, payroll code packets, a pencil and legal pad for notes, a switch key, an air hose gasket, and red tags for bad orders or hot boxes.
Once you complete pre-orientation with your trainees, your role as field sponsor is on hold until the trainees arrive back at your terminal 2 weeks later.
During the 2 weeks you are apart, trainees receive their first taste of CSXT during the formalized classroom training for Trainmen conducted at the Locomotive Engineer and Conductor Training Facility in Atlanta. Once trainees join you for the on-the-job training segment, you will be responsible for keeping records of their progress. During both the Trainman and the Conductor apprenticeship phases of training, you are required to fill out this weekly apprenticeship assignment form, which outlines job and study assignments for each week during the training periods. Creating a daily study assignment has been shown to help trainees stay focused on safety, operating rules, and other important information during training. This form shows boxes for the day the assignment is to be performed, the job ID, the on-duty point, when trainees should report to their assignment, and the name of the conductor trainer overseeing each assignment. At the bottom of the sheet, you will see a space reserved for your observations and comments, and this information should be completed after each assignment. As a field sponsor, you are responsible for monitoring and evaluating the progress of each trainee assigned to you. At least once a week, you must do a physical spot check of each trainee working in the field. Observe your trainees to make sure they are working safely and give the necessary feedback if they are not. A physical spot check also gives you the opportunity to monitor the conductor trainer. Make sure the trainer allows the trainee to work and learn, instead of causing the trainee to merely sit and observe the conductor trainer at work. Once you have observed your trainees in action, record your findings on this bi-weekly progress report. When this form is completed, mail it to the Locomotive Engineer Conductor School for placement in the employee's file. All evaluation forms can be found in your sponsor guide. However, it will be your responsibility to make the necessary number of copies for your trainees. You should also give the necessary number of copies of the apprenticeship evaluation form to your assigned conductor trainer. Once you have distributed the proper paperwork, your job is almost done. When your trainee successfully completes the conductor training program, you will need to review with the employee his or her knowledge of physical characteristics and proper operating procedures over the local territory.
Good luck in your role as field sponsor for the Trainmen and Conductor New Hire Training Program. Follow these guidelines and you will help our trainees be the best they can be.
Hello, I'm Earl Curry, Vice President and Chief Transportation Officer. I want to welcome you in your chosen role as field sponsor to our new hire conductor trainees. While involved in this training, I will be relying on you to monitor your assigned trainees' performances. You will make key decisions about their ability to handle the job of conductor. A key part of your role as an officer is the development of the people who work for you. As we bring large numbers of new T&E employees into the CSX workforce over the next few years, leadership and people development will become even more important. That is the goal we have with the Trainmen and Conductor New Hire Training Program, and your role in that process is a critical link to its success. If we are to continue to improve our safety record and move towards a more reliable railroad, each new employee's contribution will count. In your role as sponsoring officer, you will oversee the training in order to make sure trainees get the skills they need to do their jobs. I have every expectation that you will do that, and I wish you the best of luck in your role as sponsoring field officer.